And welcome in to another edition of LFC Transfer Room for our YouTube streams. Loads to talk about today. No surprise, Trent is a topic of conversation again today. I think it'll be this till he does the part. I'm joined by Kev, Kings, and West. I'll start with you, Kev. How are you this evening?
All good, mate. Top of 2 leagues. Life is good. Can't be any better. You?
Exactly the same as you, but you wouldn't think it if you spoke to most other Liverpool fans. Kings, how are you this evening?
Yeah, good. Enjoyed the game last night, as Kev said, and yourself. It's like top of 2 leagues. You can't really get much better being a fan at the moment. So it's like, yeah, all's good.
Yeah, one defeat all year. People still moan. West, how are you?
I'm good, lads. I'm good. I'm good. Top of the league, as you said. My team is at one. I just finished watching the game, so yeah, we're good.
Good. Perfect. Loads of people seeing hot chance in the comments. I'm going to keep you guessing. Good to see him use as always in the comments. Nice to see you, Derek, Mickey, and Evie as well. We're going to start with Jayden Danns. Now he's a man who divides a bit of opinion in the fan base now, in a sense of I think everyone knows he's extremely talented, who will end up being a vital part of this Liverpool side, but divides opinion with a lot of our fans think he probably should be starting now. Same fans are on the Darwin Núñez hate train, but Stoke, Blackburn, and Preston are amongst a host of Championship clubs who are keen to sign Jayden Danns on loan until the end of the season. He did make the matchday squad in his first Champions League matchday squad yesterday evening, our 2-1 win over Lille. Kev, few tasty clubs there that he's being linked with. I mean, for me, I'd quite like him to go to Stoke just to link up with Lewis Kumas and rekindle that. I think they'd do really well together. But what's your stance on Danns? Do you think we should keep him around and use him, especially with Jota completely in and out of injuries this season? Or do you think it's the right move for him to go and get 6 months on loan?
Personally, head over heart, head would say go on loan. I think you need to get yourself get a bit of game time. My heart says after the FA Cup game, start him, because he came on against Accrington Stanley and proved within a couple of minutes how potent he is in that box. And regardless of who he's playing against, he is a talent. I haven't seen as much as what you have, Matty, but every time I've seen the lad, I've been nothing but impressed with the way he comes across when he speaks, his professionalism, his enthusiasm, and that will go a long way with me. And then add into the fact of his actual talents and what he, that he is, what he produces. I'll be more than happy to keep him, but I think it will benefit himself. We've seen the benefits of Doak being on loan this season. I think that would only show you what it would mean if you put Danns in a very good championship. Let's not forget the championship is a tough league to be playing in, and it'll be good stamina for him to go out and start producing, because I think personally there is a journey for him and a pathway to get into that to be part of the first team squad on a regular basis. But he's at the start of that journey. You've got to learn to walk before you can run. And I would rather just take my time with him. I know we have issues with Jota, but I think we have enough in our forward line to be able to deal with the mishaps that we have with him with his injuries. But personally, I think it would be great for him if he did go on the loan, because it'll do him a world of good, and it'll be good to see how he does do. And I'd be happy with any of the clubs he goes to, especially in particular, as you say, Stoke.
Yeah, I mean, Kings, you've got like Derek saying that he should be used alongside Núñez because Joss has made the paper. Then you've got Muse on the other point, agreeing with Kev, saying that there's too much pressure to start. So, I mean, I think, like Kev said, the best thing he can do really is go and play men's football, isn't it? Even for half a season, it's so different to academy football. So then go and play persistent minutes in men's football and in the men's game. Surely that makes more sense than maybe sticking around and getting a few 20-minute cameos here and there to play 90 minutes or starting games coming off after 60, 70 minutes. That's going to add more to his game in the long term and benefit us surely by loaning him out.
Yeah, there is some unsubstantiated rumours that League One Wrexham were actually interested in taking him on loan. And for a flicker, because yes, I have a lot to do with that club, it was like, wow, he is, eyes wide open, he is picked up a bit. But then I thought about it in reality, they're never going to let him come down to League One. If he was to go out on loan anyway, he's going to go to the Championship, which is fair, you know what I mean? It's just wishful thinking from lower league clubs, I suppose. He is a talent. He's only 19. And then you look back years gone by when you got your Owen and your Fowler who were young and they came through and they set the world on fire and it was like, wow. But things have moved on since. It's very rare now you get these kids boom straight in and it works. They normally go on a loan somewhere, like a few of our youngsters have, as you know, Matty. And then with the three mentioned, yeah, probably Stoke would be the one. But all three, to be honest, would give him chance, just experience regular first team football and not like the under 21s, etc. Proper, fierce football, I suppose, where they're going to come at you sometimes. And they're not going to be namby-pambying around like under 21s can do. It's kind of like straight at you, they're going to tackle you, and sometimes it's going to hurt. But that toughens you up in the long run, and it builds your stamina up. Would I like him to stay? I can understand what Jamie Hughes is saying. Cameo roles here and there would build his confidence within the Liverpool ranks, because he could come on and who knows, he might get a couple of vital goals that really helps us get the points we need to get over the line in the league or the Champions League. And that would be an amazing experience for him and for us, getting obviously extra points. Probably though, I think he'd have to go out on loan, I think, till the end of the season, and hopefully toughens up enough that he comes back next season and then could really like stake a claim, I would hope. I think that would probably be work out the best. Would
you not rather stick around for 6 months, get a cameo role, and go to Wrexham in the Championship next year?
Well, I'd be honest. I mean, if he was to come somewhere like Wrexham, I would be I'd be amazed, but yes, I'd be over the moon, because funny enough, they are crying out for a striker who's a natural finisher at the moment. And if he was to go somewhere like, if they really said, yeah, go on, and we'll give him a chance, we'll give him 6 months there, then see how he is, or till the end of the season, I think he'd actually do well, because he'd definitely get game time. Because I know they're crying out for a striker. And what I've seen of Jayden when he's on, like, and obviously Klopp played him last year in a few games, and I think he's got the talent there. I've seen it. You can see he's got the hunger. It just needs to refine now, I suppose. I mean, when I look at him, I think to myself, has he got more hunger than Nunez? Yeah, probably. I love Darwin, to be honest, to a point, and I'm not going off on that one. But he's a completely different player, and I think if this lad gets his chance, I think he's going to take it with both hands, and I think he'll become somebody that we really enjoy watching in a Liverpool shirt, to be honest.
Yeah, West, I want to bring this comment up from Derek, and it says, he agrees to an extent, but we have sent many players on loan and sold them, and he's never seen the first team. He doesn't want to waste another talent. I mean, I personally think if they go on loan and get sold, I think that shows that they're not made for Liverpool. How many players have we sold in recent years who've been on loan who have went on to set the world alight, and you think, oh, we shouldn't have got rid of them? I think the only one for me where there'd be massive question marks would be Ben Doak if we chose to sell him. But what do you think on Danns? Do you think loan him, get him some first team minutes, or would you like to keep him around the squad and ultimately use him with Nunez? You're muted, West.
Personally, I agree with both points, but I look at this like, from what Kev said, keeping him, I see, because Jota is a bit injury prone. Jota, like, I'm on thin ice when it comes to Jota. But then I agree with Kings too. Loan him out, let him get the experience he needs to get, let him be tough enough, because like I feel like with Danns the type of player where he has one bad game, Liverpool fans are gonna crash it on him. He shouldn't be starting, he's not good enough, he's young, why slot, it'll be more questions. But then for me personally, I look at it where loan him out, because look at Harvey Elliott, look at Connor Bradley, like those guys are successful loan players. So I look at them, I'm like, just give Danns a chance. And Danns is clinical, like he's potent. I saw the goal he scored against Atkinson Stanley. Like, just give him a loan these 6 months, take him to a championship team where they're challenging for playoffs. Maybe we'll get that experience. That's my point when it comes to Danns.
Yeah, Muse saying Solanke. I'd argue we done really good business. We got 35 mil when he played about 4 games. Yeah, I know he's just went for 70, but he's not a 70 million pound striker. I think he's showing that this year. But Kev, with Danns, for me, I know I get pelters for this, but I feel like he reminds me a little bit of Sacha and Michael Owen. In a sense, he's so hungry, he's there, he's everywhere, he's so calm in front of goal for his age. I'm not saying he's going to go and win the Ballon d'Or next year, but is a talent like that someone you should maybe think, hold on a minute. We are in terms of like the forward line, Gakpo is unreal on the left wing, so should be staying there. You don't want to drop him into the middle. And Nunes, you could get the Nunes who turned up against Brentford, or you could get the Nunes who can't hit a barn door. So is it in that aspect, given Josh's injury record this year, does it make any sense to keep him round and then use him when we want to use him? Because he has got that potential of like a Fowler and an Owen who can come on and
He
change
has.
the game despite him only being 19.
And that's why I said Hart would say to keep him at the club, and me head. I think you've got to do what's best for the longevity of the player. I see the short-sightedness of the issues we have with certain in players, but I think there's enough in our forward line that could actually deal with that. I would like to see him not being given 10, 15-minute cameos. I'd like to see him out playing physical football in a tough league, getting the minutes he requires, so that next season he comes in and he starts competing if he has reached the levels that we all expect him to. I think potentially, I think it's hard with anyone. You know, there's different ways of doing it. You know, what we did with Owen and with Fowler, I don't necessarily think that would work with Danns. Myself personally, I would like to go on loan and see what he actually does. I like to see him get up in that physicality and show us what he can do. It's only 6 months, you know what I mean? It's not like this is, you know, at the start of the season and he's coming in breaking down doors and we've decided, oh, what we're going to do. I think it's a great time for him to go out and lay in his game and us not trying to. I understand we've got issues with Jota and that, like, and you know, and certain ways in which we can play him. And he could reap the awards and the benefits. And what I'm saying is probably wrong, but I would just prefer for the longevity of the player and to give him a bit more, even more confidence. Go down to that level of championship and give him the opportunity to learn how to be a footballer, to be a forward, and understand that, you know, that he will be up against different opposition every week, similar to what he would be in the Premier League. Not to probably the same extent, but he'll be given his opportunities. And you look at the Championship, he will, if he's doing what he's doing at Liverpool, he will create chances himself and opportunities to score, and we will see how gifted he is. And just let the lad play football. He's at that age where, and because he's such a talent. Well, and we're going to have the same issue with the young lad from Chelsea that came as well with Rio. How good he's come on and played. We can get too excited and push them too far too soon, and I don't want to see that. I think the young lad's got a good head on his shoulders. Go out. You got 6 months. Come back, and then we'll discuss it. Then do what Doc's done. Get. You know, he was coming on for cameos, and we were wanting a little bit more, but you could see there was a raw talent there. You've seen what's happened when he's gone out on loan to Middlesbrough. You've seen it with Elliott when he went out on loan to Blackburn. These players then start creating a little bit more, learn the game a bit more, and not coming in thinking that they've got to do like Maradona things to play in the team. They can ease themselves in, and as long as they get the opportunities and they listen to what we ask for in that loan, and he gets those minutes, I don't see any problems with him going down there and doing really well. And I think he will do really well. And that's the good thing about him is that he'll have he's got that professionalism on his head already, that he'll take that on his broad shoulders and go, yes, sound. I'll show you how good I am. I actually am. And we'll see it live, and it'll be great. And I hope I hope he sets the world right. But that's what I'll be doing with him. My heart will always try and leave me head, but the head's got to deal with this in the right way. And I'd like him to be with us in 5 years' time and not pushed in and then thrown out at the other end because we've pushed it a bit too far too soon. Sorry for carrying on.
It's all right, King. So if he goes to Championship and does set the world alight, say he goes to a side and really revolutionises that attack in the next 6 months, what's the plan, do you think, next year? Do you think loan him to a side, say like a Leeds or something, who've just came up to the Prem and give him a year in the Prem? Because I think that's what I'd probably campaign for with Docco. I think Leeds would be a good side for Docco if they got up. But or do you think with Danns, maybe this summer you maybe see Jota moved on due to his injury record, and then you're then relying on Danns as your backup? What do you think, in hypothetical terms, a successful loan would mean for Jayden next year?
The problem is with a successful loan is he'll have that hunger then to play every minute of every game, like players should have. If he does really well at a club and Liverpool then turn around and say, right, we want you back, you're coming in, but you're going to be our super sub for a while, you might start the odd game, etc. A bit like Jota. He starts some, plays in as a sub. Is he going to settle for that because he's hungry? Or is he going to look at it and say, right, this is the first stepping stones of me getting my foot in the door regular at Liverpool? It's like, you know, a bit like Curtis Jones and even Trent and, you know, and all the younger Scouse lads who came through the ranks. You know, you're never going to be straight in every game, a bit like Mo Salah. You're never going to come in and do that. So I personally would like him maybe to come back to the club in the summer and then gradually work his way from coming off the subs bench to starting to making it more and more regular, and try and make it a seamless transition so that we don't even notice that all of a sudden he started the last 10 games in a row because he's up to the job. You know, it's like I would like to think it would be a smooth transition if he's got the hunger to make it at the club that kind of, you know, has got his contract and not loan him out again if that's possible, because he'd be 20 then, or, you know, near 21, etc. And I think, yeah, if he's proved himself in the Championship, then give him a go. Because the only way we're going to see is he any good is to let him try it against the so-called best, you know, in that league. So, yeah, I'd probably say, you know, ease him in from our end instead of letting somebody else have the enjoyment of him in the Premier League, maybe.
Fair. West, what about you? I mean, Marvell said a successful loan will be good for us. He's going to be a John Duran type player. Do you see Danns being a player like that who isn't an unbelievable impact sub while he's learning his trade?
Yeah, I do see that, because if Danns goes to Leeds or Sunderland, a team that's fighting for promotion, and he does well, I think when he comes back, and if he's humble enough, if he has the ego in check, where he's like, okay, I'm gonna be a Divock Origi, Duran type player, I don't mind. Then he knows that, like, I'm almost there. Just take your time. I'm almost there. I'm almost close. So for me, I see him as that type of player, because the way he's clinical. I remember the Chelsea final. He almost scored the header. Like, it was like mad scene. So yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to Trent. People in the comments saying we wouldn't get on to Trent. Obviously, you've not watched the streams before this morph sheet. Do watch them. Anything that's in the title, shop, we do get onto it. And we don't have to start with Trent because we wait for people to join the stream. So Trent has turned down multiple contract offers from Liverpool. The issue is financial. And despite the reports, the player has not agreed a move to Real Madrid yet, despite his desire to be there. Now, this is coming from Sacha Tavolieri, and Muse has kindly put it into the comments for us as well. Kev, I don't even know where to start with this because I'm getting so annoyed speaking about Trent. But if reports are to be believed, now we've seen most reports saying between 280 and 300 that he's being offered. And apparently it's financial. Now, I seen a report that said he had signed for Real Madrid the other day, and when you broke down his wages, it was only like 310 grand a week there. Say only, life-changing money. Obviously, that's about a sign-on bonus. But for me, 280 grand a week as a right back I don't think any defender should be paid that amount of money. Personally, I think that money should be saved for your creative players. That's what it's been like my whole life growing up. The creative ones got that, but to be paid 280 grand a week and moan about money when you have potential to captain your boyhood club. You've given loads of interviews talking about I grew up wanting to be Stevie. This whole Predator going with Adidas was like a dream to wear in the Preds at Anfield because of Stevie. You've got the chance to be Liverpool captain in probably 2-3 years. You're on 280 grand a week. So it's not like you're skint. To then still moan about money and fuck off to Madrid. It's a bit of a rat move in it from Trent.
It's always felt like it's going to be a rat move from start, if I'm being perfectly honest and truthful. I think we all tend to agree that he deems himself as a lot higher. Fair play to the lad, do you know what I mean? But I don't know I don't know if anything's changed, but I think the only Ballon d'Or winner is Cannavaro, who's a centre half. I don't see any right backs who have been given the Ballon d'Or. And the fact that he's talking as for individualism suits Madrid kind of attitude all the way down to a T. As for his Preds, I think he needs to find a new pair because he hasn't found Stevie's yet. So, for me personally, and I don't think he'll ever will, because, it's sad in a way. And I feel lost. And I think the lad feels a little bit lost at the minute as well. It's all become centralized around him. The week leading up to the Man United game, it's all about Trent and Marseille and Real Madrid. We knew that was going to be the case. So, you're a fool if you think if you didn't think by the 1st of January we would be having this. And it played right into United's hands, and they played it an absolute belter by playing it down his side. And what I saw in that game, I've been seeing all season with him and Virgil. Virgil's been losing. I don't know. He is going to. I'm expecting to chin him one game because the amount of times he gives him the look that he gives him, and I'm sorry, but he's losing that kind of professionalism that I thought he would have. It's getting to the point where he has to come out now and either own it and say he's moving on, or grab a pen and say, no, I'm actually staying. If it's over money, then you can leave. But I want you to go now in this window because I don't want you hanging around this club. I've said it before, and I don't want it to happen to the kid. But when it comes down to the Arsenal game and it's a 50-50 with Martinelli and Trent, is Trent going to go in full force on that? Knowing in 3 games' time he's only got 3 games left at the club. Exactly. And that's going to be every game now till the end of the season. And is he putting in the heart? And I don't want to be sat there listening to it week in, week out, because it's doing, as you quite rightly say, Matty, it's doing everyone's head in. And if it's all about money, then so be it. But I want someone who, and I'll be honest, out of the 3, I think it's easy to replace a right back than what it is, regardless of his talent. He is a right back at the end of the day, and I grew up with the strikers getting the most money. He is a talent, but he's not that much of a talent that I'd do that. He's still questionable, even though he has got a little bit better defensively.
Do you think money should come into it, though, Kev? Like, considering he's a boyhood Red, so that's like he grew up in the city, he's idolised the club, he's been with us since he was a kid, his dreams to play for Liverpool, and then he is one of the world's best in his position, if not the best in his position. To then be home, no, I want strike money. I want to be the highest paid.
Yeah.
Like, should ego come into it like that when you're representing your boyhood side?
It shouldn't, but his stats would say otherwise, because what he performs is his goals and assists is probably the best in the Premier League, and that shows you how good he is. And there's no one apart from Leighton Baines. There's no one in the same stratosphere as him, apart from Robbo, for the last 3 years. There's been an ongoing competition between the both, which we know about. But personally, he will be using it, and quite rightly so. His agent is going, well, that deserves the reward of payment. But what should that look like? Because I'll be honest, I think the money he's asking for is astronomical. And he's not a Jude Bellingham. He's not playing in that centre mid role or in a creative role that far up the pitch. So, is it because me mates on that I want the same? 300, 400 grand a week. What extra? What were you going to do with that money? What extra can you do with that you can't do with 280 a week at your boy club, and you're the captain of the club? I personally can't get my head around it, and I probably never will, because I've never lived in that kind of world. But at the same time, I think his agent will be playing part of it, because the agent's fees have now changed and they're now part of the contracts as well. So, is this a law by him, because he's going to get more money if he goes and generates money from Madrid and he goes to Madrid? If he goes to Madrid and owns it now, I think everyone would be happy that it's over with. He won't get everyone's blessing, but at least we know it's over. The longer this continues, Matty, the more times this comes up, it takes away and tarnishes what this credible team has done this season in a year after Klopp has left. And it's sadly at the minute being diluted everywhere from all aspects, whether it's this, whether it's the stupid thing that we're going to be talking about later about the prime thing. It's, there's certain times that these things should be done. This should be being negated this season and sorted before January, because it's just spiraling now, and it feels as though no one's willing to take accountability for it and come up with it and go, well, this is it. Because every week he's getting asked the same questions. And how many times have you spoken about this since September? You know what I mean?
Too much. Do me. I'd rather him go, to be honest. Get us a bit of money and just be on his way. I don't think but for me, if he was to go now, even if you got 20, 30 million for him, as much as he'd be hated for leaving the club, I think the club get one up on him. Because when we win the quad in May, Trent's not on that open top bus parade with the fans. He sat in Madrid doing whatever he's doing with Jude Bellingham and has to watch us on the telly, which I think would hurt him more than having that moment with the fans and then booking off and on. Want to put this one to you, Kings. Derek saying he's 6 to set death for the contracts and not just Trent. Feels they're all waiting on each other and it'll rumble into summer. I want to give you my little 10p on this. I think Virgil and Salah have signed, but I don't think the club can announce that they've signed, because then the intensity onto Trent goes tenfold. If it's announced Van Dijk signed his deal and Salah signed his deal, then the fans, if the club want to keep hold of Trent till the end of the year, which I think they do, and lose him for nothing, if the fans can then turn in the ground, can't he? Might get booed, called things and stuff when he's in the playing for the side, and then that could then affect his confidence, which affects the team performances, etc., etc. Whereas if Trent, like Kev said, if Trent grew a bit of balls and come out and said, look, I'm going to Real Madrid, I think the club would then announce Virgil and Salah. Whereas now it's just not good PR. Even Ibu and Curtis Jones, who's apparently signed a new deal, it's not good for them to say, these have all signed, but we're still waiting on Trent, because it'll intensify to Trent then, won't it?
I heard a rumor last night, funny enough, in the ground that Virgil had signed. And I said to those around me, I was like, well, I can understand why they're not announcing it. I haven't heard the one with Salah, but it's definitely up there with the sensible thing to do if that's true. Because as we say, by the way, I agree with pretty much what you and Kev have said about Trent. Basically you can rewind what Kev said and I'll lip sync to it and it looked like I'm saying the same thing. Maybe not quite as a rant on Trent, but that kind of sentiment. Yeah. I think if it's left that it comes out and he's just the one that kind of like stalling to see what's going on or whatever, trying to get more money, or he knows he's going, whichever way it is. Yes, the fans, as much as Liverpool fans are bloody good fans, to be fair, I think there would be some sections, if not all, would start having a go at him. And that can rumble around the ground. Then he'll get into his confidence. And we say now, I mean, it's in the chat here, and we've said it before many times when we've talked about Trent. His defensive side of him can let him down sometimes. His crossing and his attacking side of him is fantastic. I think Bradley is probably a better defender, but he's not a better player overall, if that makes sense, or not yet anyway.
Yeah.
And I think if you're going to knock his confidence while he's trying to defend and he's thinking, well, what's the bloody point of this? You know, they're having a go at me anyway, then that really could cost the club dear when nobody, I don't think, even Slot and all the players, they all moved over in the summer and come and thought, right, we've got a new manager, it's going to start fresh. I don't think anybody said we would be in this position. 6 points clear, game in hand, top of the Champions League. I mean, slot ball or whatever we want to call it, so far, fingers crossed, it's going to keep going, has been amazing to the point that, you know, we're in dreamland at the moment, and I don't want anything to mess that up. So if it means staying quiet and the other two have signed and we don't get on his back, then fine. I'm happy with that, because ultimately as fans and maybe as players at the club as well, obviously, the ultimate thing is getting the trophies at the end. So destabilizing things now by putting pressure on him would really, I think, mess it all up. And there's no need to do that. I don't want anybody to have a go at him. I'd be so disappointed if he goes to Madrid. But at the end of the day, if he's going, just either now or at the end of the season, like you say, just come out and say, right, I'm going, I'm done. That's fine. It's all ended then, at least. This kind of speculation swirling around all the time. Is he signing? Is he arguing? Is he going? It is getting tedious, to be honest. It's getting boring. But I'm trying to filter that out and just be like, right, concentrate on the game, get the 3 points or whatever, and move on to the next one. And then, as we get close to the end of the season, we'll just see how it goes. If he's on the bus celebrating the league championship, fine, he'll have earned it because he's there. If he's not on the bus because he's left in January, well, tough. He should have been here and it's hard luck. You know, it's one of them to me.
Yeah, Wes, put this one to you. Ian thinks Trent will crash and burn in Madrid. I completely agree with him. His occasional brilliant passes should not make up for his defensive frailties. I mean, I'll give it 6 months before the hankies are out at Madrid against Trent, because you look at the Madrid side, their defenders have to defend, and Trent's not a good defender. I think how good he is, like what Kings and Kev have said, going forward makes up for how weak he is at the back. So do you think his move to Madrid would be successful? Do you think he will crash and burn like many of the fans do believe?
Okay, I can speak of hate, but then like I always say, the grass is not green at the other side. Mane, Coutinho, man. So now I look at Trent like I don't think, because now the one thing about La Liga wingers, they're quick and they dribble. So I think Trent will give La Liga wingers careers. Trent, like the Madrid fans will kill him. I'm being honest. Imagine Trent did this. You remember the performance against United? Imagine if he did that in the Madrid shirt in the El Clasico. Uncomfortable conversations. It will be crazy. The performance that we all complain about, you can't perform like that. Imagine if you done it in the Madrid shirt in the Santiago Bernabeu, the El Clasico, or Atletico Madrid. You cannot do that. Like, you see Rudiger, you see Eli Militao. Of course, Eli Militao is injured, but then he's a defender. Carvajal, Lucas Vazquez. You can see even by the past, Roberto Carlos, Marcelo, Sergio Ramos, Pepe, they are defenders. They stay back. You see the way they were kicking Messi, they were kicking Neymar, Suarez, and them, man. You see how they defend. So now, if Trent goes there and just loses the ball, then you see him jogging. Oh, come on, like you all know they're gonna kill him in Madrid. So I don't think Trent's career will be successful. The way I'm looking at Madrid project now is looking a bit shaky, because as far as I know, I'm sure we all saw the rumors Ancelotti is leaving. So now what's gonna happen now? So I hope he stays, but then if he goes, he goes. But then him demanding 300K a week, for me, like he thinks in his head he's a striker. No, you're a right back. You cannot demand 300K. Out of all players, you good going forward, cool, I love that. But then like 300K is a bit too much, because now you be like Conor Bradley can also come to you, be like, yo, I'm actually a better defender than him. I actually deserve more. Like because in our system, we're playing a defense system. Like when Slot gets the ball, when Slot like he's winning 2-1, he prefers controlling the game. You train, yeah, like for me, like I agree with all you guys. Like I'm a bit annoyed. I'm pissed off because like I'm tired of talking about him. I just won a game yesterday, and Trent is the topic. Like why? Like, yeah, that's all that I can say about Trent.
One thing I will say before we moved on, you've just named 7 or 8 of some of the best defenders in the world, and not one of them won a Ballon d'Or. So I think Trent can get that out of his head. And before we move on to Elliot, Trent, if you or any of your family are listening, you're a Judas rat, and I'll never ever forgive him. To be honest with you, he's no. For me, people give Coutinho a lot of hate. He left and got us enough money to go and get Virgil and Alisson. Trent's going for nothing, so I think he's in the same pan for me as like a Michael Owen in terms of he's not welcome back. But someone who the attitude that Trent should have is the same as that of Harvey Elliott. He said after the 2-1 win yesterday that he's not leaving, and his celebration of talking. Who knows what Trent's meant, because he's never even come out. He's shied away from media and never come out and said what that meant. Sort of similar to Jude's probably saying, "I'll be with you soon, boyfriend." But Harvey Elliott came out and said he's not leaving. It's his club. And he's staying and fighting for his place no matter what. Kev, do you think we should be worried about his lack of minutes? I mean, I don't think Slot fancies him, but do you think Slot maybe sees him as a youth prospect? He is only 21. It doesn't, like, same with Kwanzaa, he doesn't really want to use him much. Do you think Elliott does fit into the long-term plans? Because when we do call upon him, he's really good. I mean, I really like him in the 10. I didn't like him last season in Klopp's system. I'll be the first to admit it. I don't think he's a right winger. I don't think he's got the legs. But as a 10, I think Elliott offers something different to a Szoboszlai. Yeah, he's not going to run for 90 minutes and win every ball. But when he's on the ball, he's creative and he offers that other avenue of attack that we sometimes lack within our side. But regardless of where he goes, what happens to Elliott, Kev, that attitude's what you want playing for your football club, isn't it? Of, I don't want to go, this is my club and I'm going to fight. Considering there's another boiled red who's got different views, Elliott's, he's smart, and because that's going to win every fan over.
Absolutely. He has something that goes a long way in football, and Bill Shankly admired from the younger players, and that's enthusiasm. His enthusiasm to just come into the team and play where he's been told, doesn't kick off, doesn't do anything. I said last week, I don't think Slot likes him. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes. But the kind of mindset that we know that Elliott has will play into that and will challenge that, and he will stay here for as long as he is. And the fact that he came out as adamant as what he did, I'm made up for the lad. I'm made up for Harvey. It's been tough for him, especially this season. New manager. He hasn't hit the ground running. Looked good in pre-season. He's had a few niggling injuries, and he hasn't really bettered himself or shown Slot what he can actually do. I think we saw elements of that last night. Some of his touches were graceful at times and helped us move the ball a lot quicker than what it would have done had Dom had been there. So I hope he gets the more minutes now as the season's coming to the end to where you do need your squad players, and I hope Slot does see what we're actually witnessing, because when he comes on, we know what you're going to get. You're going to get 110% every time he plays, and he'll throw himself through the door. Whether that, if he gets asked to play left back, centre half, goalkeeper, wherever, he will just go, yes, sound. We like if Alisson gets injured and he gets asked to play and go past the gloves. You know what I mean? That's high. He's got that kind of enthusiasm, and it's great, and it's refreshing to see, especially with what's going on in the background with other players, and to come out the way he did. Although I didn't see it myself, I saw it when I got in. I saw, good on you, lad, because you need that kind of desire and that kind of confidence. That's the confidence I want to see in players who aren't playing. I don't want to see them, sulk and do something about it. And last night he proved that. He also against Brentford as well. He was part. It was down to him coming on and creating something is the reason why we scored. Do you know what I mean? Regardless of what happened in the last 35 shots that we had, him being on that pitch was one of the reasons why we got those 2 goals like we did. So I'm quite happy for him to fight for his place, and even if it means him seeing the end of his contract at the club, he will do that. But I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope Slot sees the player that we've seen and witnessed and know what he can be. But his enthusiasm will take him a lot further than anything else. And I just wish certain players in certain positions had the same kind of enthusiasm as what he has when things aren't going right.
Yeah, Kings, I mean, this is a lad who grew up in London, supported the club from afar, and has given his all to play for the club and stay at the club. Like Kev said, do you think a few of our other players should be taking things from Elliott, really, in a sense of he's not playing? He's definitely good enough to start for probably 19 of the other sides in the Premier League and get more minutes than what he probably is getting at Liverpool. He can probably start for most clubs in the world. But he sat there and saying, I'll stay on the bench and I will fight to get that place back where I belong in my team. That attitude is something that a lot of players should be looking at, really, isn't it?
I really admire the lad, to be fair. He's only a young lad still. You know, we forget this. It's not like he's 28, 29, you know, and just kind of like, oh, I've been here for years and my time's maybe going to come to an end if I'm not careful, I'll just sit around and just soak it all in. He's a young lad and probably could have the pick of, quite a lot of sides who would take him. And I think in last night's game, and as Kev said, in the game against Brentford, he made a difference. Now, long term, obviously, with only Chiesa coming in, Slot hasn't really put his stamp on this side at all, only in his style of play. That's it. And I just wonder, maybe once the summer's come and potentially with FSG, we don't know, but potentially some players, leaving and a few coming in, it starts to change and he could become an integral part of it. He may really like him behind the scenes. It's a real weird situation because we're talking about Trent earlier on, and he won't come out and commit to anything to do with Liverpool. He's a boyhood Liverpool fan. He's a Scouser. He's grown up there. He keeps saying he wants to captain the side, won't commit to anything. And then you got this other lad who's not getting the game time and doesn't get as much adulation maybe as Trent, and he's sitting there going, I'll play for you. He's not going to say for free, but he's kind of like, listen, I don't care if one of my legs is hanging off. I want to stay at the club. I will be on the bench. I will come on whenever you need me. Just ask. And that's really refreshing, to be fair to him. And so it's a really odd situation for the fans because they're seeing one lad really committing and another lad not bothering to commit to anything. And I suppose they're looking at it going, why can't you be like Elliott? Why can't you just come out and say what you want to do? And it just clears it all up. He's obviously at this point happy. He's learning enough behind the scenes with Slot with his training to see if he likes it or not. And so far, he did have his injury earlier in the season, and that probably didn't help maybe being more settled in the side and Slot seeing a lot more of him. But as we know, he sees him every day on the training field. He must have liked something about him. Otherwise, he'd have been probably bombed out and hardly getting near. So, and I do think when he does come on, he can make a difference. So, I mean, good on him, to be honest. And I hope that he does stay with us for a while. He's not a winger, like you said. I know he's played there. He does seem better when he's in the middle. Now, if he can make that position his own, great. But even if he was just to come in as a rotation for another regular top midfielder, and he goes, yeah, but when we need him to move out, he can come in instead, then so be it. But he seems to be happy to do that at this point. So long may that continue. I'm quite happy with that.
Yeah. West, I mean, Derek's saying Elliott's only on 40 grand a week and he's got that attitude. He's not fixated on money. What do you think about Elliott? Do you think his long-term future's at Liverpool, or do you think despite his heart and passion for the club, we might see him moved on?
Nah, I think it's at Liverpool. I actually do like the player. Like, he's actually a good player. I'm actually interested about him, So, and I look at him, he's actually a decent player. He helps us out. So, when people say, oh, no, Elliott doesn't play much, yes, I get angry. But then, like, I don't think Slot has a problem with him. It's just that Soboslai and Jones have, like, cemented their starting positions. If, let's say, Soboslai got injured, and God forbid, I think Elliott will get his chance. I think Elliott will be in the starting 11. It's just that Elliott has been stopped by the injuries. So for me, when it comes to Elliott, like when I agree with what King says when he says Trent Alexander-Arnold and Elliott, someone who's on the bench and who's not playing much, it's someone who's been playing all season, and the attitudes are a bit different. So like for me, I think like patience with Slot. I think we need to be patient with Slot. Maybe Slot has a plan for him next season. Like, let's see this season how the season goes, and I hope we win stuff. But then I'm a bit patient when it comes to Harvey Elliott. I hope he stays, to be honest.
Yeah, before we move on to the final topic, there's over 7,000 of you watching this evening. If you are watching over on X, head over to YouTube and leave a subscribe on the channel and a like on the video. You'll get notified then. Every single time we go live, it's usually 7:30, but sometimes we do spontaneous streams as well, so you don't want to miss them. So if you are watching on X, I urge you to go over and subscribe to us on YouTube. There's loads of content there, and it's only going to keep pumping the content out in transfer windows, and especially in the summer when the club go for a big rebuild. Now, I've looked forward to speaking about this today, the next topic, because I know Trent's very Kev, call you Trent there, Kev. I know Kev's got very strong views about this. I'm a bit annoyed myself. I haven't really thought too much about it, but the new Liverpool documentary, which was meant to be an all or nothing, but it's being changed following the tenure of Jurgen Klopp and the team's journey, is coming out in February of 2025. We're currently in a title race. We're on for the quad, flying in everything, Champions League, FA Cup, League Cup, but we're doing well. Not the right time to release this, is it, Kev? I mean, I just want to stress before we get into this for people who are listening and thinking, well, what's wrong with it coming out? I don't think anyone's got a problem with this coming out, and I think many of us, grown men, will probably shed a little tear watching it and watching our Jurgen's final days as a manager. I think most of us were very depressed. I know me and Kev was, and our wives hated us when Jurgen went. But Kev, it's not the right time, is it? We're on for winning the Premier League. We're in a very good position in the Champions League. So then bring out a documentary which, yeah, it follows Jurgen's whole tenure, but considering it didn't end how we all wanted it to end last year, and there obviously will be behind the scenes, maybe we might find out that he talked about like why he left, and might be stuff about the board and all that. Who knows? But to bring that out when you're on a title charge and take the distraction away from a title charge to Jurgen Klopp, it just seems mad, doesn't it?
I absolutely feel so sorry for Arne Slot this season. He has come in and has done an unbelievable job. And from pillar to post, all he's had at the first half of the season is all about Klopp. Now he's had all about the contracts. And guess what it goes back to? It goes back to Klopp again, right? It's as though the man was absolutely so respectful and non-narcissistical in the way he approached this season. Didn't change it much, didn't need to change much, was emphatic of how good the squad was, better than what he actually thought it was. And he has done an absolute worldie of a job to get us, if not in a better position than what we were last season. And to have someone at the club to decide to release this in one of the worst months for us to be doing that, because you got a derby in there as well, right? I don't we've got a league semi-final, League Cup semi-final. You've got a Champions League. You've got league games, some important league games. Bournemouth away, Everton away. Who in their right mind had the brain cell that decided this would be the ideal time to show this? Because all it screams is egotistical person, and it's all about me and what I did last season and never accomplished what we should have done. That's what it stinks of. And I hate the fact that this man has had to put up with this from the start of the season right to the very end. And I wouldn't be surprised if we win the quad. Somehow Jurgen's on that bloody bus because because the 1920 season we couldn't see, so it's part of that. I just feel as though we're diluting so much, and we're taking the emphasis away of what's been so great about this season, and other things have been languishing in the background, and it's taken it away from the actual players who have actually deserved it. And a man who's come in and has done a feat that no other Premier League club has done, and is only similar in comparison to what Paisley did after Shankly left. That's how much of respect we should be providing to Slot. But instead, we're making it about one man and about how he left. I don't care less how he left, when he left, what it's about. I won't be watching it. And when I do watch it, it'll be after the bloody season's over, not halfway through, because we know what's going to happen. Every bloody week, there's going to be a question about it, because in a month where there's no actual stuff going on because the transfer window's finished, you've given the actual media the perfect reason to be all around Liverpool and causing chaos and mayhem in our title. It stinks to high heaven, and I just wish someone in the club could have a grip at this, because it needs to stop. What do FSG think this is going to do? Is this going to, as a report as a quip yesterday, is this going to generate any transfer funds for Slots to use? Is that why we're so eager to get this out? I'm not going to be watching it, and I don't care if anyone wants to watch it. That's fine. That's down to yourselves. I won't be watching it until the end of the season, because it's just the worst thing that can actually happen, and I'm so infuriated with the club and anyone else. And I wish Jurgen would have turned around and told them not to do it at all, because I'll be honest, you didn't work now, lad. You don't need the money. So, you don't need the money for your paddle. You don't need it for your extension in Mallorca. So what's the reason for it to be brought out? The club, what's this going to do? Is this going to generate a pot for us, or is this more money that you can throw at Boston Celtics? It just stinks to high heaven. I just wish, someone would actually... I get Klopp left, but it feels a bit like it's getting to the point now where I'm not bothered about the man now, because I'm hearing too much about him. We've heard him at the start of the season. He's still in contact with all the players. If you're Slot, how would you actually personally feel? And that's a genuine question to you all, because he's had this from the start of the season.
Apparently he texts Slot every week. That's what... I don't know if you've seen his Red Bull press conference, but apparently he's
because I don't care what the man says at the minute. We're in the middle of the season. I don't care what other manager. No. People may laugh at that and go, "Well, he's the greatest manager ever we've had." He is in my lifetime.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, but you've left, and we've got a man who's probably going to possibly win more than what you did. And I'd rather be getting behind him and cheering him on in his first season for what he's done, because I think, I'll be honest, I think the media have diluted what he's done to a certain degree. And I think fans are taking the elements of what he's actually done and the significance of what he's done. What he's done is not being seen by any other Premier League club, yet we're wasting time with the man that had left. And, he's the Messiah, as though, that's it. The club's gone. No, we move on, and it's shown that by how we recruited. I just feel sorry for what that man has achieved this season, and especially the club. It's a team game, team effort, and it seems as though it's based all around an individual more so than what the club's doing at the minute. And we're more willing to look at our yesteryears than looking forward with a man who's creating something really, really special at this club. Sorry to, you know what I mean, but it's just, it annoys me.
Kev's just mentioned the fixtures, Kings, there. In February, we play Bournemouth away. We've got Tottenham in the semi-final, Plymouth in the FA Cup. Then we've got the Derby away, Wolves at home, City away, Newcastle at home. So it doesn't get more of a bigger month than that when you look and you've got the Derby, City, Newcastle, a cup semi-final, all thrown in with this coming out. I mean, on Twitter, they're saying it's the worst timing since the news of his resignation. I'd probably agree with that. I mean, the only thing that I didn't agree with Klopp announcing his resignation in the middle of the season. I do think that had an impact and derailing our season last year. However, in Germany, it's quite common that you announce in January that you're going at the end of the year. It's something German managers do. So I can't hold that against Jurgen if that's something that he's grew up with, that you let the fans know, and then you have sort of like a farewell in them 6 months.
Long
But
goodbye.
who do you think? Yeah, who do you think's called the shots on this documentary? Because I fondly remember Jurgen saying if a camera crew's ever followed him in football, he was done. Camera crews have followed him and he is done in football, apart from like, obviously he's not managing anymore. So do you think, yeah, because I've got that much respect for Jurgen. I can't imagine Jurgen saying, no, I want this out in the middle of the season. I think if he had a choice, it would be the end of the year. But then is the club thinking, well, if it's the end of the year and the club doing everything, this documentary is overshadowed by the fact that Arnie Slot's won everything? Do you think that's why they want to release it now? So it's all Jurgen, Jurgen, Jurgen again, make a bit of money, maybe sell some more t-shirts with Jurgen's face on, and then the pop for the Boston Celtics get bigger.
It's yeah, it's a mixture of a few things, I think. Again, I'm not obviously going to dwell on that, but actually being involved in a club that's got a documentary running currently about it, it's a weird situation, to be honest. The filming crew are there all the time, and they do try and stay out of the way. And obviously, I'm talking about Wrexham now, not Liverpool, but I would imagine it'd be similar kind of thing. They do try and not be in your face with a camera. I've got to give them credit for that. But at the same time, they're filming everything. So everything that Klopp said or done is going to be picked up on a mic somewhere. And the way things are edited can be twisted, because a line that sounds so normal in context could be clipped and a little bit's just put over a different scene and it makes it look good or bad. And the documentary that they're doing at this club at the moment goes out at the end of the season, which I think is the right thing. Come what happens at the end of the season, then the documentary showing the previous season goes out. I think that's the right way. The issue with Liverpool's is, yes, there's money for FSG going to come in. And with that, they sign a contract saying, yeah, you can film this, that, the other, no problems. But of course, that company then gets to dictate when it comes out, because they're basically the owners of it then. That's the problem. And I think they may look at it, yes, it's all about Klopp, but if Liverpool are top of both leagues and they're flying and they could be winning the league, from their point of view, it's probably the perfect time to put it out, because everybody's talking about Liverpool, so they're going to get more viewers, more people watching it. Does that make sense? Because everything's about Liverpool at the moment anyway. Everybody's like, yeah, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. And they're not really thinking of Slot and Klopp. They're just thinking, everyone's talking about Liverpool, get the documentary out, which is all about Liverpool. We're going to get more viewers. Ultimately, that's what they want. From my personal view, I think it should be at the end of the season. It is going to overshadow Slot. He has done such a fantastic job that nobody dreamed that he would come in and just do this with these players. And again, the link is there. He's pretty much got Klopp's side, and he's doing better than what Klopp did last year. But they can still link it and go, yeah, but we're going to show all this about Klopp because he's using his players, it's his team. And so until really Slot wins something and then changes most of the team and then goes, well, I've done it with my own team, he's always going to be in the shadow of this fantastic manager that we had. But as Kevin, I've said, he's done. He chose to walk away. Now, I love the guy. He's amazing. But he chose to leave. And we were like all panicking, thinking what's going to happen. And fortuitous or whatever, we're actually doing really well. And it's like, well, just leave us be then and carry on with your Travago adverts or whatever you want to do. Go and play, play silly buggers at Red Bull or, I don't know. I've got no issue with any of it. But hopefully the TV companies can see that if it derails anything at Liverpool, FSG and the TV and the company, I don't know what network it's going out on, but they're going to be the ones to blame if things start going south, and then that's out and it all goes really crap for everyone. That's going to play a part in it, because people are going to see that, and some players will see, who are there now, are going to see that edit and maybe watch it and think, well, that was shit, knocks their confidence, and they could then go on a run for a month that they don't play that well because they've bothered to watch it, but it was from last season. Do you know what I mean? And if it knocks their confidence for this season, it could end up derailing something that's happening on the pitch now when we need them at their optimum to be obviously going for potentially the quad. So yeah, it's the wrong. So a long way of saying it's the wrong way. Right, they should be at the end of the season.
I don't know about you, but for me, I love Jurgen. I've got him tattooed right down the back of my leg. He's the greatest football manager I've seen in my lifetime. But seeing so much about him, he had his Red Bull press conference in which he's got nothing to do with Liverpool and was asked about our contracts and stuff. And it's just starting to put a tarnish a little bit in a sense of like Kevin and yourself have said it. It's fuck all to do with Jurgen now, isn't it? Like, I think he should be allowed to leave the club and have nothing to do with us, and the fans remember what he done rather than what it is now. I mean, I'm not old enough, but I can't think I've seen when Paisley took over Shankly. I don't feel like it was Shankly. I think they let Paisley do his job.
Yeah, the difference is now with all the media, social media, papers, all that kind of stuff. It's so intense nowadays. Sorry, Matt, for cutting you up. It's so intense now for anybody that gets scrutinized 10 times over on every little thing, and it maybe makes it sound like myself, Kev, even that we don't like Jurgen Klopp. It's like, we love the guy. And I know Kev does, but at the end of the day, it's not about him now. Unfortunately, he chose to move on.
He did. And with Shankly, going back to that era, you had Shankly still turning up at the training ground when Paisley was in charge. So much so that the players have turned around since and said they didn't know who was to call gaffer. And it was the club who actually had to oust him out of the club and it was just sad in a way because he didn't actually really want it to go. And then instead of giving him a job at the club, he was then diminished from going to any game at all. He ended up watching a few Everton games and going to their training ground where he was welcomed, and he wanted to still be around. But the problem that Liverpool directors had and Paisley had at the time is that the players wouldn't differentiate who was manager, and if Shankly came in and said something, do they take that on board what he said, or do they have to listen to what Paisley was saying? And that's what happened then. And you can see, I wasn't old enough then, but you can see mirrors of that happening at the minute with our fan base. We're holding on to what Klopp's done, and it was a fantastic era. And I don't think this generation of fans will ever know what it's like to see a team fall away, because I thought that would happen now, and it hasn't. It's continuing with Slot, and you feel as though you've got to keep hold of the past to go forward. You don't. You've got a manager who's doing it on his own. Embrace it and appreciate what's happened. But we're hearing too much of it, mate, and that's what turns me off. Because I came out to a lad and he went, "Isn't it great?" I went, "No," I said, "I won't be watching it," and just carried on walking away. And my mate was laughing, who's an Everton fan. He went, "Are you come round to my?" I went, "No," I said, "It's not that. I love the man, but I'm seeing too much of him in an important part of the season, and
it's distracting.
It's very distracting, and I don't want to be getting distracted from what we're doing and how good and achievable this is. So that's the similarities I can see, mate. And it's hard not to keep hold of that. And don't get me wrong, it's a great thing that we had them, but I'll be honest, I'd rather get behind our new manager who's doing a phenomenal job and has been so respectful to a point where I don't know how he can be so respectful, because every minute it's either contract or it's been Klopp all season, and I feel sorry for the man. That's all.
I'm just sorry for putting in, Matt.
The Wrexham one, Kings. Go on. What was you going to say?
No. Well, I was just going to say. I mean, apart from a couple of yellow cards, he's on the touchline. Slot seems a very relaxed guy. He's very laid back. It seems, from what we've seen, looking at him in this. And you mentioned earlier about he gets texts from Klopp and the players are still getting texts in a similar way to what he was saying about Paisley and Shankly. What happens if he was just, I don't think he would do this, but what happens if he texted a particular player and just said, I was watching you, the last game, and why don't you just try this? And it's almost the same thing. Does he listen to Klopp because he played for him, or does he think, I'll ignore that and go with Slot because he's teaching me a new way? And it's like, it could be like that. I don't think it is, but you never know. And it's like, it's just time to kind of move on and like I say, and let let's back slot all the way to the title, hopefully. Go on, sorry, what you're going to say about Wrexham?
With the Wrexham documentary, you look at the model that Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney set up, and it was always laid out. We're going to do this documentary. It's going to bring in revenue, which is then going to help fund the club to grow, and it's worked so well. Probably the best business investment you'll see from someone. But with Liverpool, you compare, say, Liverpool to Wrexham. Liverpool earned probably 100 times more than Wrexham did when this documentary started. And you made a comment about Wrexham with the documentary. It always comes out the end of the year, details the thing before. And I think the Wrexham one isn't, although it's about the club, it's not just about the club, it's about the community, it's about the people around the club, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. It is more of a community
very
documentary.
Much like a Klopp, doesn't it? Like our documentaries like Klopp. They're not going to show Anfield and Breck Road and that on this documentary. They're going to show Klopp. And I think with the Wrexham one, it's fantastic. And I think it's won the hearts of many people, myself included. But the Wrexham one serves its purpose. It's generating that money. Wrexham had a record turnover for any football league club, didn't it, when it first came out? And it's helped Wrexham get to where they are now. What an earth benefit has this got to Liverpool?
I don't think it has to a point. It's because I know Kev said I don't know if it's called the or. You said maybe, Matt, that it's not called All or Nothing. And I know Jamie Hughes has said it's on Amazon Prime. It doesn't matter what it's called. That type of documentary that we've seen with Spurs and a few others of that All or Nothing is pretty much all about the manager in his office. You know, I've seen the one with Spurs when Mourinho was in charge. I've only seen half of it. I give up. But you know, they were talking about him on the screen on Sky Sports News, and he's sitting in the office telling them to F off because he's talking to the telly and they're filming him because they were talking about his tactics, etc. And I'm thinking it's going to be more of that. The Wrexham one is more community based, and that's why that one works. The Liverpool one is going to be solely, just like I said, focusing on players, and most of them are still there. So and then Klopp. So people are going to watch it for that, going, "Oh, I love these players," and it's going to show Mo Salah, blah blah blah, and he's still there. Maybe not at the end of the season, as we know, but you know what I mean. It's like, and I think the scrutiny on him is going to be quite a lot, and they could really do without that. I think I just don't want it to affect anything. We are desperate to get a championship trophy, and I would take. I'll be honest. I'm going to say this. It might not go down well. I would take the Premier League over the Champions League. I've said that many times because to me, that's the ultimate. I know being the best in Europe is amazing and it's great, but the Premier League, the First Division or whatever is the ultimate for me with the club. And I just want to see them add more and more and more to the board. And that's what it should just be focused on this season because we have got such a good chance. And it's like, don't derail it with any other crap. It's like, come on, just back the boys and the manager or the head coach or whatever as it is now, and then put it out and go, right, we've got this to show you as well. And you can celebrate the whole thing. I just really hope it doesn't detract from what's going on.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on the Premier League thing. Being fortunate enough to see 6 Champions League finals there, though, and now we want to see us lift the Prem and Anfield, and I get glad with Kev after.
Well, that's the thing, you know, obviously we did it in COVID, you know, with no fans there, which was heartbreaking. I know everybody was outside and we shouldn't have been and all that kind of stuff. And there was many drunk people and all. And so the outside of the ground was probably like it would be anyway. But the inside of the ground was so sterile and it was ridiculous. I'm glad they won it and it is on the board and it's great. But to be there in front of the fans and an open top bus parade, I love going to these parades. They're such fantastic occasions, you know, and I just want another one of them, whether it's with 1 trophy or 4 trophies. I'll take it. If it's got the Premier League trophy on it, I'm in there. I'm there. But that's what it needs to be concentrating on.
Yeah. And before we go west, quite to you, what do you think about this documentary? Do you think it's good, bad? Do you think it'll derail the season? I mean, the last time something came out aside from the playing stuff was Pep Lijnders' intensity book, which many do believe derailed a bit of the season, got a lot of hate. Do you think this is just a recipe for disaster?
Like you see with me, I didn't understand why you guys are upset, but the way you guys started explaining to me, I was like, okay, now I get it now. So like I actually agree with you guys. It's like I was gonna understand if it was dropped last year and last year we actually fell off. yes, drop the documentary, motivate the players a bit, but then you can't drop it now when you're 6 points clear, when you're playing City next, when you're playing with Derby, when you're playing Newcastle, and you just drop the documentary making that about Klopp. I agree with Kev that Klopp is gone. He's outside now. I don't care what he's doing. I love the man. He changed my life, like successfully. We won leagues, Champions League. I love the man. But then now this is Slot's era. People must stop making it about Klopp. I get it. The only thing that's killing Slot is this is Klopp's squad. That's the only thing. And this would be the headline. You won with Klopp's squad. This, that. But then come on, guys, like let's stop the Klopp situation. Yes, Klopp, he left us. Klopp never got sacked. He left. And rightfully so. Now, like you want to bring him back to the club. Oh no, documentary for him, what he did for us. Yes, drop it maybe next year. I wouldn't care. But then you can't drop it now. Because we were actually challenging something. So that's why I look at it. I'm like, I don't think it's a great idea. After listening to you guys, I don't think it's a great idea of dropping the club documentary. I don't even care about it, to be honest.
When you look at the title, though, I'll leave it on this. Thousands of Believers with Full FC Klopp's era. That can come out in the summer. It's not got a February time stamp on it, has it? Like, it's got no relevance to drop it in the middle of the season. Now, at the end of Feb, you could say, right, okay, we would have played. It comes out 2 days after we play Newcastle, but then the games following that is Southampton at home, Villa away, Everton at home, Fulham away. Big games that no matter what we do, you know, Scott's going to be asked. Well, Jurgen said this with Harvey Elliott last year. What do you think? It's just pointless. But we'll leave it there for today. I'm pretty sure this will be brought up a lot more before Feb about the documentary. If you want gold content, just ask Kev what he thinks of it, and he'll tell you. Because I've never, I you know what, Kev, I didn't expect. I it was the same. I was like, I'll watch at the end of the year. I'm not letting it distract me this year, but I didn't expect you to be so passionate. Like, no, fuck this. This shouldn't happen. I expect everyone to oh, it is what it is. I was quite shocked.
I'll be honest. We have to be ruthless, and we like hoarding stuff at this club, and we've done it for too long under Klopp. I'm sorry he left, but he left, and he didn't ask us. It's all right for us to leave. He just announced that he was going. I just feel as though since the start of the season, if you look at the media that Slot has had to deal with, virtually everything's been about his predecessor and also about contracts. No one's actually given him the time and opportunity to go, do you know what, mate? You've put a stamp on this squad that something's changed. How have you done that? It's not about that. It's always based on it's Klopp this, Klopp that. And it annoys me because the man has done an absolute fantastic job this season. And we're not getting the credit we're getting because we've got too many things that are diluting it on the outside that shouldn't be tarnishing such an incredible season. And that's what I want. I want the man to have what he deserves because he's done what's similar what Shankly's done, as what Paisley's done. Paisley won a league with Shankly's squad. It's a mirror image at the minute of what he's doing, and it's amazing of what he's doing, and we should be appreciating a lot more than hanging back and thinking about a previous manager who, didn't achieve what he should have done in that season, and we're changing the storyline of it. It just smells of egotistical capitalism of the club and of a certain individual, and it's all about me. That's what it should have been called, in my view. You know what I mean?
What a way to leave it. It's all about Jurgen. we will leave it there for tonight. We are back tomorrow at 7:30. Charlie is hosting, so do tune in for that. I'm sure it'll be a good one. I'll know it'll be a good one. I've seen what he wants to speak on, so definitely tune in for that. I've been Matty. Nice one to Kev, Kings, and West for joining us. Hopefully, Amazon sees some sense in us at the end of the year. But for now, we'll leave it there. Up the Reds. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you all on the next.